Shabbat Shalom, everybody, here in the sanctuary and around the world on screen. Sharon and I are very lucky this Shabbat. We have half of our family here in the synagogue. The other half are in Israel. Rabbi Aaron is preaching tonight at our twin community in Kiryat Ono. Tammy's at another congregation in Tel Aviv. And I'm not sure whether the two girls are. I know they're probably at different synagogues. So we're spread across the world, not just the links that we have from tonight. And I know that I see Paul Hyams. I know that already members of the congregation have been to a service joining with our twin community in Lutsk. And obviously over there in Lutsk and Lviv, there's a certain degree of trepidation on this Shabbat, and so if they join us tonight, it's just this wonderful feeling where we can give support to all different congregations, all of them connected to the Ark. But tonight we're reading the second service on page 75, page 75.
You shall call the Sabbath a delight. These lights we kindle are a symbol of joy. May their brightness lift our spirits and fill our hearts with happiness and peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat shalom. Please be seated. And on this last Shabbat of the civic year, let's read together this prayer at the bottom of the page. The Sabbath has descended to enfold us in its mantle of peace. It brings to us the precious gift of time to embrace family and friends, to reflect more deeply on the meaning and purpose of our lives, and to worship in the beauty of holiness. May our Sabbaths always be sanctuaries of love and devotion, bringing contentment to our hearts, happiness to our homes, and blessing to our people.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
On page 77, the Eternal One reigns, let the earth rejoice. Clouds and darkness surround you. Your lightnings illumine the world. Mountains melt like wax before you, O God. The heavens proclaim your righteousness. Zion hears and is glad. For you are supreme over all the earth. Light dawns for the righteous. Let the righteous rejoice in you and give thanks to your holy name. And we turn to page 92. Page 92, please rise. Praise the one to whom our praise is due. Please be seated. And let's read together. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and whose will sets the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness, and darkness from light. You make day pass and bring on the night, and separate day from night. You rule the hosts of heaven. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening fall.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavata, Amcha ahavata, Torah u'mitzvot, Chokim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadata, Otanu limadata. Hakel Adonai Eloheinu b'shabbeinu, L'meinu nasiya b'chokecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki heimayenu, ve'orech yameinu, U'vahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. V'yahavata al tasu, Mimenu le'olamim. Baruch ata Adonai, Ohel amo Yisrael, Ohel amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto le'olam va'ed.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol ma'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, v'asher Anochi mesavacha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba, v'shivtecha b'beitecha, v'belechecha b'derech, v'shoftecha v'kuvecha. V'shartam le'otal yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, v'kravtam al mezuzot beitecha.
L'mal tizkaru, v'asitem b'kol mitzvotai, v'tem kadoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Please be seated. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, Eternal One, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule. Then, full of joy, we sang together.
Hamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi hamocha neda b'kodesh, nora tehilot,
ונאמר כי פדר אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל Israel. And together, grant, eternal God, that we may lie down in peace, and let us rise up to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your wise counsel, and for your name's sake be a help. Shield us from sickness and war, from famine and distress, and keep us from wrongdoing. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are our guardian and deliverer, a gracious and merciful God. Guard our going out and our coming in, that now and always we may have life and peace. We praise you, O God. May your sheltering peace descend on us and all who dwell on earth. Please rise. Adonai Sephatai Tivtach, eternal God, open our lips, that our mouths may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Agadol Agibor v'Hanura, El Elyon. גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרא שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיים מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. חיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, וחיי המתים. You are holy, awesome is your name. We have no God but you. Praise you, eternal one, the holy God. Please be seated. And together, our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness. Gladden us with your salvation and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts. And may all Israel, who hallow your name, be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, and alone we worship you. Modim anachnu lach, she'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu leolam va'ed. Tzur chayenu magen yeshenu, ata hu lador v'ador. Nodeh lecha u'nesaper tehilatecha, al chayenu ha'mesorim biyadecha, ve'al nishmotenu ha'pekudot lach, ve'al nisecha shebechol yom imanu, ve'al niflotecha v'tovotecha, shebechol eit erev v'avoker v'tzohorayim. Baruch ata Adonai, hatov shimcha, u'lechana lehodot. And before we say and sing our prayer for peace, some prayers that I'm sure are in many of our hearts and minds. A prayer for the captives. Our God, the one who raised up Joseph from the pit, be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in time of trouble. Send complete rescue and full redemption to those held captive by the enemy. Strengthen and support their spirit, and bring them our prayers that they be protected from all harm. Implant understanding in the heart of the enemy, that they may return the captives in wholeness of body and spirit. Grant wisdom to the Israel Defense Forces, that they may secure freedom for the captives without loss of life. Grant strength of spirit and courage to all of the sons and daughters of Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar, to release bonds of captivity and allow all to live in peace and freedom. And on tonight we continue to mention the name of Harina Ariev, who's the cousin of Anna, of our twin community in Israel, another twin community, Kehilat Kol Hanashama, and Eddie Hirsch, an Ark member and an active soldier in the IDF. And as I say, our thoughts are also with our friends and members of the Ark in Lviv and Lutsk and elsewhere in Ukraine at this moment. They shall call upon me and I will answer them, and I will be with them in distress. I will rescue them, says God, and give them honor. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon L'Chol HaShalom V'tov B'necha Levarech Et Amcha Yisrael Ve'et Kol Ha'amim B'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום.
Hanukkah is over. Christmas is over. Now it's New Year's Eve to look forward to if we have the strength and appetite. You know that everybody knows here, I think, yes, everybody, that I've been obsessed by the most famous Victorian Anglo-Jewish family, the Montefiores, for many years. And I was thinking about how did they celebrate Hanukkah? And I looked it up in the known sources, and I could find only references to it when they were on journeys. And I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey now. I mean, sort of, if you've just come back from holiday, well, it'll extend your holiday a little bit. If you haven't been able to go, then maybe in your mind you'll join me on a trip through the continent together with Moses and Judith Montefiore. Of course, you never know what to do on Christmas. It's not, well, Jews never know what to do they? It's not their festival, and secular festivities give Jews a dilemma. Should they put up a Christmas tree? Jewish neighbours might be feeling that they'd let the side down and were on their way to converting. Though I do recall early in my career going to the homes of a couple of German refugee families who I thought were very traditionally Jewish, and I found them happily displaying their Christmas trees and Christmas cards. But I wondered, did Judith and Moses Montefiore have a Christmas tree? Well, it's unlikely, because the custom was fairly new. Some say it was introduced by Prince Albert in 1840, so when they got going, and they were early days, they hadn't been invented yet. But as I say, they did come across Christmas and Hanukkah while they were travelling. What did they do? On a journey, 1817, they're on the way to tour the European continent, and Calais, Paris, Lyon, across the Alps to Mount Cenis. And Sunday, the 7th of December, they find themselves in Genoa. Judith and Moses were travelling with companions of the Mazzaras. They were a Catholic couple, and they often travelled together. And also a young Catholic woman, a daughter of people living in Rome, and they promised to take her with them on their journey. So, Wednesday, the 3rd of December, they arrived in Genoa. Judith read the Hanukkah prayers. She doesn't mention lighting the candles, just read the prayers. Seems rather strange. And on each of the other 8 nights of the festival, she doesn't even mention it. There's no mention of a celebration of any special foods, though I don't think donuts had then been invented. And since he was Sephardi, latkes, I'm not sure, was on the menu. And I looked up the Jewish manual. The cookbook said to have been written by Lady Montefiore, but I found no reference at all to dishes for Hanukkah. Though I did find several dishes for other Jewish festivals, Passover and Purim, a reflection of the fact, I think, that before it was commercialized, Hanukkah was a minor festival in most Jewish households. Maybe that's why it deserved only 4 words in Judith's diary. However, we must assume that they were taking with them a Chanukiah of some description in there, but I'm not sure what it looked like. The usual route, however, from Genoa to Lucca, which was the entry point into Italy, was by boat. But Judith suffered from severe seasickness, so they decided to go overland. However, there was no carriage road and several mountains to cross, and it was midwinter, and it was 60 miles. It was decided that the men would go by horse, but it was safer for the ladies to go by mules. Sadly, as they were mounting, Mrs. Mazzara, this is the friend's mule, bucked, threw her off, and she broke her leg. This meant staying till the 22nd of December in Genoa, a delay of 15 days. You'll have to buy the book to get Judith. This book, of course, you'll have to buy it to... This is a cheap way of selling books, isn't it? I mean, using my power, I'll probably get... Anyway, they're travelling, and by the 25th of December, they got to a place called Bracco. Let me read you Judith's description. I quote, "Another sunny day. In consideration of it being Christmas, we resolved to remain sheltered in Bracco. The ceiling of our chamber was covered with cobwebs and soot. The sound of rats and mice amused our ears, and the smoke from the kitchen was most refreshing. She says, really, Minnie, it was not. In the evening, we played cards for sugar plums in consideration of Christmas. Is that a Christmas celebration that you know of? And what are sugar plums? Well, there you go. But the next day, they had to walk for 15 miles over a mountain. There was ice on the path. They were soaking wet, as their change of clothes had already been put with their carriage on the boat which had set sail to go round and meet them the other side of the mountain. Some Boxing Day it must have been. The question is, why did they walk? Because it was a Saturday, and the Montefioris didn't ride on the Sabbath. It's not clear whether their 3 Catholic companions had to walk out of sympathy. On the 31st of December, they'd reached Lucca, where, and I quote, visited the cathedral, which was handsomely prepared for tomorrow's New Year's Day. The next morning, Judith wrote, a rainy morning commences the new year. Let us return thanks to the Almighty for his continual munificence towards us and resume our prayers for the same protection during the ensuing year. We'll come back to that. On Friday, they'd got to Rome. Friday the 16th of January, they got to Rome and stayed there a whole month. They'd arrived for the Carnival, and Judith describes all the activities they took part in. Of course, being in Rome, they visited many churches and twice to St. Peter's to see and hear the Pope. However, during the whole month, they didn't venture to the synagogue, although we know that whilst travelling, they said their Sabbath prayers in their hotel room or in room every week. In 1827, they embarked on another lengthy journey to Jerusalem. On the way back, and they're in Malta, in the Lazaretto. Do you know what a Lazaretto is? Actually, it still exists, the building. The Lazaretto was where you had to go if you were coming from a journey in Egypt or anywhere in the Far East or Middle East. You had to go and stay for a month before you could enter society in case of bringing the plague. So there they are, stuck in the Lazaretto, and there's just one phrase there. First evening of Hanukkah. Again, she doesn't even say the prayers this time, and again, there's no mention of the candles. And so clearly it's something you had to do, but it is not something of which you make a big Megillah. That's for Purim. Anyway, the next, come New Year's, Christmas, they're already out in Valletta, and she says, street music, a medley of church bells announcing Christmas festival, and continuing throughout the evening. On Christmas Day, they're invited to the commissioner of the dockyard, who's provided a splendid dinner for all of the workers, and in the afternoon, they're visited by Admiral Codrington, the victor of the recent Battle of Navarino. That evening, they're invited to a ball. They had quite a Christmas day. And 10 years later, there's another excursion to the Holy Land. By the 22nd of December, they're in Toulon. It's the first night of Hanukkah, but she makes no mention of it. However, on the 25th of December, they're in Nice. Christmas is kept in this town with great solemnity and strict observance of the services of the church. All business is suspended. The shops are closed, except for the druggists and confectioners. So why the cake shop and the chemist, I'm not sure, but that's the way it goes. She then describes in great detail an impressive funeral procession for the wife of the prefect of the town on Christmas Day. Then on the 26th, this day is also kept as a fete, the shops being shut, people abstaining from work. A second day, Christmas, I didn't know on the continent, they also had Boxing Day. Well, those are the only mentions of Christmas and Hanukkah that I could find in the early diaries, and nowhere else. And I know that Dave Simmons has been doing his research into Montefiore stuff since he bought my book, and I challenge him to find any other reference to Hanukkah and Christmas, which shows that for Jews, the attractions are for Christmas Day, wherever you're traveling, and for Hanukkah, you just light the candles, and well, that's it, and have next year sugar plums. No, that's for Christmas, but remember the sugar plums and find out how they're made. But maybe end with Judith's prayer, that as we look back on the fading year, all was not bad, and the good things and events in our lives should be remembered and celebrated. And so I'll say with Judith, a rainy morning commences the new year. Let us return thanks to the Almighty for his continual munificence towards us, and resume our prayers for the same protection during the ensuing year. Amen. But now we move, as I have no doubt the Montefiores would as well, to the Aleinu on page 520. Page 520. Let's read together. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגוף המרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשיבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Creator of the universe, you give us life in which joys and sorrows are commingled in accordance with your wisdom, and you send death with its promise of eternal peace. Teach us to accept humbly and courageously whatever burden is laid upon us. And on this Shabbat, on the occasion of their yahrzeits, we make mention of the names of Leslie Freeman, the father of Cynthia Drapkin and Olivia, grandfather of Jonathan and Jane. John Drapkin, the brother-in-law of Cynthia, the uncle of Jonathan and Jane. Beryl Spryer, the mother of Sharon Peck. Norman Mindell, the brother of Selwyn Mindell. Marla Reed, the mother of Patricia Franks and Diana Rodwell, and grandmother of Catherine. Morris Feibush, remembered by his wife Anne, by daughter Helen, by son-in-law Simon and grandchildren George, Anthony and Robert, and by son Mott and daughter-in-law Carly. And we're saddened to announce the death of our member Michael Price, the husband of Vera and father of Nicole Diamond and Julia Van der Vens. May God comfort all those who mourn, and let the light of faith illumine the darkness of their sorrow with the hope of immortality. Strengthen us at all times with an unfailing trust in your providence. As we say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, בעלמא דיבר חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון ויומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה וזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ותדע ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. דושבחתה ונחמתה. דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה. וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם. Amen. May great peace descend from heaven, and may abundant life be granted to us and all Israel. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. A reminder that tomorrow, service at 11, there's also Havdalah at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on Zoom. And talking of Zoom, our member Paul Hyams is going to join with all of the people online to make Kiddush as we go into the Azorio Hall. And so, for those who wish to join in the Kiddush with Paul, then look out the link, which is, I believe, at the bottom of your page. Any other notices people can think of? No. Well, we'll end with a golden oldie with Adon Olam on page 525.
Adon Olam Hashem Olam, B'terem kol yitzir nivra, Le'ed nasa v'hezol kol, Hazor melech shemo nikra, Ve'acharei tivlot hakol, Levado yimloch nora, V'hu haya v'hu hove, V'hu yeh l'tiv hara, V'hu echad ve'ein sheni, L'ham shilo l'hamira, L'li reshim, L'li tachlit, V'lo ha'oz, V'chad Yisrael, V'hu eli v'chai go'ali, V'sur eli ve'ein tzara, V'hu nisim u'manos li, V'not kosi v'yom ekra, V'yado kidruhi, Ve'tishan ve'ayira, Ve'imruhi naviati, Adonai li v'lo ira.
Please rise. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Eternal God, grant strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace. Amen.
Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.